Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Geopolitics with Ramin, GWR. So, today I wanted to talk about an unexpected country that has perhaps not received as much um, attention in alternative media, but in the Wall Street Journal, there is a article that goes like this. It is about North Korea, actually, also known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the DPRK. The world's most surprising economic success story is North Korea. Arms sales to Russia and goods from China provide boost. Despite sanctions, the regime is wealthier than ever. So, what is the key to North Korea's success? Well, as far as I have understood it, as the articles say, the Chinese have been investing a lot in North Korea. So have the Russians. In fact, in Russia, there's a city called Vladivostok, which is close to North Korea. It is in the Asian part of Russia, the eastern part, so to speak. And due to these investments, there has been trade back and forth. And because of the investments from both Russia and China to North Korea, the DPRK government has been able to circumvent sanctions that has been placed upon it. Now, don't get me wrong, there has been some very rough, years, to say at least, for the North Koreans. In the 1990s, there was a starvation catastrophe in North Korea, and that was due to the Soviet Union collapsing. The problem wasn't the lack of food per se, as I have understood it. It was due to the fact that they couldn't get in any oil anymore, any gas, to transport the food, because by the late 80s or the mid 80s, I think it was 86, North Korea had succeeded reaching food self-sufficiency. The problem was they couldn't transport it due to the collapse of the Soviet Union. There has been a very strong caricature propaganda against North Korea, and by no means am I necessarily familiar with the North Korean culture in that sense. I don't know why if they actually view the Kim Jong family as a god or not. I don't know. I do know that they do bow down in terms of like respect for them. I don't know if this is a religious thing. I don't think so personally, but I could be wrong. But the quote-unquote cult of personality, as far as I understand, was formed in North Korea because they wanted to go a more independent path and not get involved in the Sino-Soviet split. So North Korea has its own ideology. It's called Juche, which emphasizes a lot on human capabilities, creativity, as well as Sungun, I think is called, which basically put heavy emphasis on self-sufficiency and militarization. Because remember, North Korea is technically still at war with South Korea. Okay, they signed I forgot the word in English, but not a peace treaty, but not even a memorandum of understanding. I'm still stuck in the Middle East. A ceasefire. Thank you. That was the term I was looking for. They signed the ceasefire, right? So they split the country in the 38th degree and all that stuff. And in fact, but by the 1960s, actually, and even 70s, I believe, North Korea actually, its economy surpassed the South Korean economy, actually. But anyway, after the 1990s, North Korea had some serious issues with malnutrition and starvation. However, it stabilized after that. Not to say that it was like a super rich country after that, but at least the food insecurity was solved at the time. But still, many people are still stuck in this stereotype that North Koreans are starving, which has been solved more or less. But let's keep on going here. The publication, let's see, the U.S. business daily The Wall Street Journal on June 8th stated, North Korea is the protagonist of one of the world's most astonishing economic success stories right now. The publication reported that the improvement in North Korean economy can also be confirmed through figures. Previously in August of last year, the Bank of North Korea analyzed that North Korea's real gross domestic product, GDP, in 2024 reached 36,096.54 trillion won, an increase of 3.7% compared to the previous year. Although this remains extremely poor compared to South Korea, for North Korea, it's the largest growth in several years. It is, since the country has been under severe sanctions. It has also been reported that foreign tourists are noticing the changes in North Korea. Rowan Beard, head of the North Korea specialized travel agency Young Pioneer Tours, has visited North Korea over 100 times, and during a recent visit, he was surprised to see that a vehicle call service similar to Uber or Kakao Taxi is now operating in the country. Stephen Haggart, a professor at the University of California, San Diego, who studies the North Korean economy, analyzed that the country's economy has reached its peak in roughly 15 years under the leadership of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Although I tried to find information about this, and there is actually, as far as I know, a private sector in North Korea. How large it is, I don't know, but due to these investments, a private sector has been open. I assume it's still very controlled, much so by the government to a certain extent, in terms of, I don't know, how workers' rights are carried out, and making sure that, you know, corruption doesn't go back and forth, I guess, in that sense, similar to China, right, or Singapore. They have something like that. But how big the private sector is in North Korea, I don't know. I assume it's still pretty small. But this proves, again, to hardcore socialists that you need a private sector in this current world order that we're in right now. You cannot have a full state planned economy, Soviet style type of economy, or previously as North Korea used to have, if you're going to economically develop properly. I'm not advocating for a complete neoliberal model, but I am not, and neither am I advocating for a fully state-owned economy either, because I just don't think it's sufficient, like very effective and so forth. At least not now. Maybe somewhere distant in the future, but I can't see this working in this modern era that we're in. One of the issues that, for example, Cuba has is the fact that the Russians and the Chinese wanted to invest more in that country, but the Cuban government refused to privatize certain sectors of it. And then you're going to be in the boat that you're in right now. I think North Korea did a good thing. By partnering themselves with China and Russia, they could circumvent the sanctions that were put on them. So, very smart move. Iran could have done this a long time ago. We were close to do it. And in fact, I should do a video on Chinese and Iranian relations. But yeah, Iran did pull a plug on Chinese investments back in 2012. Then they signed an economic deal in 2021. How much of that has been implemented? I haven't really seen that much economic growth in that sense. And from many analysts, they say it's because the reformists in Iran that are currently running the government, Pezeshkian and company, they don't want to get closer to the East, the BRICS economic forum. So that's why Iran is struggling a lot, and they are still betting on the West to come and invest in the country. But as I have stated before, that's actually a trap. If you bring in Western investment, that's a Trojan horse in and of itself, because Obama tried to do that with the JCPOA. And if you open up the markets in Iran, you can also do a lot more espionage and infiltrate the country from within, empower those reformist, quote unquote, grassroots democratic movements and individuals, and pretty much erode the Islamic Revolution and Republic from within. And Iran will, in theory at least, abandon its allies in the region, that is to say, Hezbollah, Palestinian factions, Ansar Allah, and Iraqi Shia militias. So I consider it as a stupid move for Iran to do that. I think we can learn a lot from the North Korean strategy. Get your nuclear weapon, partner up more with the Russians and the Chinese, and circumvent those sanctions. We should have done that a long time ago, and I don't think it's too late. And I believe Iran will go that route sooner or later. Hopefully, if this reformist camp doesn't put too much hindrance to that. But yes, there has been also a lot more, illumination across Pyongyang. How well distributed this economic wealth is throughout the country is hard to tell. It's very hard to tell, actually. The Wall Street Journal obviously had to criticize the North Korean government in regards to human rights abuses and malnutrition. But I don't know what exactly is the truth here. North Korea is a very demonized country. I'm not saying it's a perfect country. Obviously, it has its issues. But we have to differentiate between lies and actual genuine criticism. And I have the same position with Iran, even though I have my disagreements with the Islamic Republic. I don't sit here and make things up about, I don't know, Khamenei drinking baby blood or something like that. We have to be factual as much as possible, and that's it. I don't want to make things up out of thin air. So, as it says here, however, the Wall Street Journal criticized the fruits of this growth are occurring only to the elite class in Pyongyang. Most regions of North Korea, except for Pyongyang, are still plagued by poverty, and a significant portion of the country's 26 million residents reportedly suffer from malnutrition. Well, that's exactly what I also summarized it. But yes, North Korea, in my opinion, has impressively, despite the very difficult circumstances that it's been under, achieved a lot. Actually, North Korea manufactures its own smartphones. A lot of people don't know that. Again, due to its smart economic, political, and military partnerships with Russia and China, it has circumvented Western sanctions. And the reason, I heard this from Caleb Maupin, he said that the reason why the Wall Street Journal is writing this piece of article is because the United States wants a piece of that economic investment as well. China and Russia are eating a lot of that cake. They want that too, because North Korea has a lot of untapped mineral resources. and that's that they want to, you know, make a buck from that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to make this video real quick, and I hope you liked it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share my stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.